hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work hard.
We are officially starting the podcast.
Okay.
It's going to be a great combo, guys. I'm very excited to have my friend Marco on here. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
You're very like, ooh.
Thank you for the invite, Maricris. Thank you.
I brought in the mugs. Marco's the first one to use it. He is now officially left-handed today. We're just going to have a good time and chat because I know he doesn't like I say I met him at the park. A little background. A friend invited us to go boxing and take class, and it was with Marco at the park, and my fiance Nathan was there, who trains with Marco. So I know you got a whole background. I thought I was just going to a dope class, and she's like, no, he's professional, and we've been to some fights, and he just
True, you actually came one of my fights.
Two fights.
True.
Yeah. So I want the background of all this. So professional boxer, and please tell us all where you're originally from.
Okay, I'm from Germany, from Berlin. Moved here for the sole purpose of boxing, and then obviously later on, now when I maybe retire my career in 2 years, to change a little bit in the game, make things better out of my experience. It's a very tough sport. It's a brutal game to beat. And lots of people struggle with that. So this is another ambition I always had when I came to America. Learning from the best, bringing it all together, mixed up a little bit, make it better, open up maybe an academy and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, but before all of that, I started with martial arts growing up. So I was 6 years old, I started with karate, tough childhood, bad, so my mom was married to a bad guy, and then, had tough childhood.
Really?
And then, it's like the classical boxer story, I'd say.
Is that like Creed's story?
Yeah.
Am I generalizing too much, or is it?
Yeah, in this direction, but a lot of people have the same package. That's, I guess, why we become fighters,
Really?
We're all fighters in life, but then some people also make this shit a career, right?
Yeah.
So, kind of brand marked. And then, I don't know, out of martial arts, we had like a very decent martial arts school who had a world-class kickboxing team and a good boxing team. And somehow being all day in this martial arts school, being raised by my karate teachers, I would just join their kickboxing class and then later on the boxing class, which was a competition team. And then from there, everything what I have now, this is where it all started.
So would you say that your coaches were more of like your mentors? Like maybe you were just enrolled in classes and then it became more than maybe you first initially thought it would be?
100%. I think you attract sometimes what you need. So the father role at home wasn't given anymore. So my mom right away realized how important it was for me to keep me in the martial arts school. And then my karate coaches, they were all like my karate senseis. They were all men. So this was kind of like the father figures I would learn from and take things from and mentored from, right? Starting 6 till, I don't know, I left martial arts school, I think it was 21, to join the national team in Berlin in boxing. So before that was all kickboxing, karate and stuff. So then I went to boxing. And from Berlin, that was like my stepping stone to move to Los Angeles.
Wow. And then do you feel, I know I grew up playing sports and my parents aren't from here. And so I didn't realize growing up, I guess some of the background culturally of how they think versus an American society. So I spent a lot of time playing sports and they would be like, why aren't you home with the family? And I'm like, I thought I'm doing good because my coaches are saying I'm doing great. And it led to, scholarships down the line. I'm like, well, this helped everyone out. But having those mentors, again, took me to the next step. I think that's probably why I'm a trainer today and why I played. And I think it's so great that you said you attract what you need because I think when you join it for fun and you kind of realize what doors and opportunities it can open for you, it, I guess, changes your mindset about participating in it. So
True.
Do you feel at what point do you feel like this is more than me just showing up to class, but now I'm going to go and take it to the next level and come to LA?
13 years of age.
Wow.
I would do some sort of an internship at my karate school. So I would go to school would wrap up around 1 or 3 p.m. and then one of my senseis would either pick me up, then we would be in the karate school 1, 2 p.m., would clean it all, and then it was a massive karate school. Like, I don't know, we had like 5,000 square foot just training, man. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And then we would open up and I would assist coach or teach the first class, second class, and so on, until then my class would come, which would be like 6, 7 p.m. would be like a kickboxing class or boxing class, whatever. Competition would be around the corner. And then there would be like an adults karate class. I would change quick and teach that one as well. So then we would close at 9:30. I go home, next day I go to school again. So I was 13. I knew already this is some sort I want to do. It was not a 9 to 5 for sure. I learned nothing in school I use today.
Really?
Really.
So what is it that you learned then that you feel?
I don't know. I'm picture book, not listening to my, to my teachers. It was like more stop dreaming, stop this, because I always ran into problems when there was, for example, later on when I was 15, big thing, there was a youth European championship. But for us, so I finished school in 10th grade. So I didn't do high school. We have in Germany we have like a main school, that's 9 grades, then you have to work. 10 grades is middle school, 12 is high school like in America. So I was in middle school. So our middle school finishes after 10th grades and then you have to go study or work. So in 10th grade, we did our last class trip, like this big thing where you travel, I don't know, some place in Europe, right? And do like this, how you call it, a prom and all this stuff, right? So now I went to my teacher, I said, first of all, my mom can't afford it. Second, I go to the Youth European Championships kickboxing. So then my how you call it, homeroom teacher would say, this will do nothing for you in life. This is like, you can do anything, you can achieve anything with this and that. And then it was in my hometown. Broke my heart. Still went, came home with a silver medal. You know, and then from that on, I started dreaming. Because now I wanted to step at a point, I was just 16 years old now, into the professional ring. Later on, the boxing's, not kickboxing, boxing's most successful coach turned me pro. So I'm so happy that I learned in school not to listen to my teachers. So it's a little bit not picture book what people and parents want to hear. Yeah. You know? But it's for sure what helped me being mentally very strong and actually go after what I wanted in life. And I wanted to go, so I saw this. So my class, everyone would drink alcohol. I didn't. Everyone would smoke. I didn't smoke anything. No weed, no cigarettes. I did 2 cigarettes my entire life. Maybe a cigar. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they would all drink, 15, 16 years old. Last class trip, I saw, what could I do? Here I could win a medal and do something for my own personality and maybe create something which becomes a career at a point. I started with 16 already, obviously with different words, right? I want this, I could do this, I could have that, right? And then, or I go on a class trip where every boy just tries to get with one of the girls in one of the 3 classes we traveled with, right? Like, let's face it, it's one of those, right, boys? And look at, I don't know, all 3 classes went together, so look at 60 people who were fucked up drunk. So I was like, I go to the European Championships. So then my teacher right away hated me for that, but I made a decision. She even gave me a worse grade. I didn't need it though, because I continued working in the martial arts, because I didn't need my final... That
formal education.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wait, so there's a lot there to unpack. No, in a good and inspirational way. I mean, I think yours was a lot different than mine, but I know for me, you know, I never really thought of myself to be an entrepreneur at any point. It was just like, you know, you get your college degree, you do this certain line of work or whatever it is. And I remember when I went to grad school really early, and it was the first time school was a challenge for me. And I remember telling my mom, I was like looking at jobs, I was like, how do I get out? Maybe it's not meant for me. But I remember I had this internal struggle of, I don't know what I want to do, but I'm telling you this is not it. And I did finish school because it was a good learning experience, but I learned very quickly, even when I was done, I was bartending, I was wedding coordinating, I was kind of training, I was modeling. And people were like, so, like, what do you do? And I was like, it felt a little bit weird, and I had to kind of find that courage to be like, I know I have this degree because you're expecting me to be at this corporate job, and I'm like, I actually don't want to do that. So that was like my way of saying, I'm not going to do what you tell me to. You know, my mom said get a safe job with benefits, and I was like, why can't I just get my own? And it was this weird rebellion where you're like, I don't know if I'm shortcoming myself, but I think for you, it's like you kind of know your path, but you don't necessarily know how it may get there. But you're like, I rather explore it than, like you said, go on that trip. Like, that means more to me, and that takes a lot of courage. And I mean, look at where you're at today.
This one was a party trip, and the other one was a trip where I had to sweat a lot for. We trained like animals. So when I was 13, I started kickboxing. My sensei said, don't do it, you're too untalented, rather teach karate. So I had a different drive. They said, don't do it, so I wanted to do it. They said, most probably you can't become good at it, so I wanted to become good at it. There's a good saying, it's like sprinters are born, fighters are made. I highly believe in that. When you sprint like Usain Bolt, this is genetics, this is born. I can't learn that. Not even if I start when I'm 6 months old, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A fighter is made, a fighter can learn, it's ability, you know what I mean? And there's talent and work ethic. And I also believe that hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work hard. You know what I'm saying?
No, there's definitely like a fine line of like, what are you doing with it? But at the same time, like you're saying, you put in the work. Like there's no way you can't get worse. And there's actually, I forget what book I was reading. I don't know if it's called The One. I forget which one it was, but it's like, even if you worked every day just a little bit to get like better, you will get better. But if you literally don't do anything, you get worse. Yeah, even if you don't do it, you literally get worse.
Train one ability 30 minutes a day. You will, after a certain time, be better than 99% around the world in that one particular matter. It's proven. Circling back to the story, so I just had to choose the party trip or that, right? This would give me that. The other thing, I had to pay a high price, like training twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. I had to cut weight already, so I had to be familiar with that. It's not an Olympic sport, so the acknowledgement of a medal at the Kickboxing European Championships is kind of low. But in my martial arts school was high. So I went there, fought 3 fights, won the first 2, lost the final against Russia, and went home. Proud, like my mom was proud like never before, you know what I mean?
That's amazing.
So, and then from there on, I saw already that I'll create my own path. I'm not waiting for anyone telling me do this, go there. I had, thank God, so my today's best friend, a little older than me, lived in America already, came back always to Germany to the same karate school to teach self-defense seminars. So that's how I got hooked to Los Angeles, because he moved here. I'd always jump back to do a seminar for a week, visit his family in Germany, comes back to LA, and I was like, oh wow, LA. I didn't even know when I was 16, like in my town, I didn't even know Beverly Hills, Hollywood, that's all Los Angeles. I said, wow, LA, that sounds so like enormous and great and whatever, right?
Yeah, big picture.
Yeah, and that's, so I had this like destination goal of moving to a city I didn't know anything about. Hollywood Walk of Fame, I had no idea when I was 16 what LA is. But I know this guy lives here. I was in love with him. I thought he's one of the most like honestly magical people, like a great personality, amazing how he taught, you know, everything. And from that on, I always wanted to go to LA. Figuring out LA is a huge stage for sports. And then later on, I joined then the kickboxing national team for 8 years, transferred to boxing, made it to the national team. I knew this is not the end yet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then I checked out LA and moved here.
That's amazing. That's a huge, huge jump. So now being in LA, obviously, like I said, I've been to a couple fights, but, you know, just hearing, you know, Nathan talk a little bit about you kind of prepping and the gyms you work with, the coaches you work with, how it's not only you like preparing to fight, but there's also so much that goes around it with having like people come and support and understand. So how do you manage all those elements when you need to be focused when you're in the ring?
Not at all. I mean, management or managing means control, right? I'm not good at that. I'm not like good advertisement for my management company, by the way, right now. No, but all these things. So when you're a fighter and you are especially a fighter in the US and you have local shows, there's so much that goes into, people don't see that. They see you win, draw or lose, they're like, oh good or oh no good. And everyone goes home, continues their life, right? Nothing happens to them. So what they don't see is that we drive to the fight. On the way already, there's 10 phone calls. Something's missing, something doesn't work out. Oh, you're fight number 3, then it changed to fight number 8, then you're a swing bot, you don't know when you fight at all, then it's about the guy who's supposed to put the patches for the sponsorships on the shorts doesn't make it on time. Then people call you and ask you if you still have tickets available.
Yeah.
So it's such a hustle, you know. That's why I decided now at this point, partnering up with a lawyer and creating like a management company where we do things way differently for fighters. Because a fighter, and that's no disrespect to any other sport in the world, but a fighter deals with massive mental stress.
Yeah.
And on top, lose in fighting and combat sports, especially boxing, you see it in someone's face because we get beaten up, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a ball game. They also have millions of eyes on them. They have stress. They have performance anxiety. But when they lose, they don't usually take damage on the body and stuff.
Yeah.
The boxer does.
Mm-hmm.
So the boxer has like this mental mindset of like a gladiator back in the day. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, God forbid, but some fighters die.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So you have to be really switched on. And then dealing with, I don't know, my cat's sick at home, I have a dentist appointment tomorrow, my girlfriend and I have a fight right now, there's no room for those things. It is
like
fight day,
switch that
it's fight day, performance day, that's it. Anything else
goes to the side.
Has to. You know,
Yeah.
like it can't matter. You know what I mean? So yeah, so back to that. How do I manage that? I just ran by flow, did a lot of mistakes, sold tickets out of my locker room while I got my hand wrapped up from my trainer. And then, there's 2 more tickets left. My friend will bring them out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Terrible. So for those things, you need a really, really good manager.
That's like you said, there's a lot going on display. We see one thing and it's very physical.
True.
Right? And
Very
it's like
physical.
you don't, and it's so quick in terms of which way it can go, I feel like. Which is completely different than any other sport, you know, especially like I played volleyball, like that's non-contact, you know, there's a lot of different variables, but it is you versus this other opponent, and that's what you have in there. But, you know, by no means am I comparing my track experience to your boxing, but running solo though, it's like I have nobody else to even, I feel like, blame it on, depending on my performance. Like,
True.
Not to blame, but it's just like it's you versus you in there in order to get that outcome. So when you're talking about having to manage all these elements and then you showing up for, you know, yourself that day to perform, do you actually feel that your mindset as a fighter helps you outside to be flexible to changes? Maybe certain things that people think are a big deal aren't that big to you, I think, based on your journey?
True. Yeah, 100%. So I, out of my experience, first of all, the mindset of a fighter is different than, I'd say, the mindset of my friends. So we have a massive lack of empathy because we go through, it takes life experience until we develop it, but it's like a fighter goes through hardship. We torture our body twice a day. We get beaten up in sparring day by day. We beat people up too, but everyone gets beaten, you know, at a point. Then we have those fights, and then we also deal with life, right? So I think the mindset of a fighter in life helped me massively to overcome any any hurdle, circumstance, problem I faced, because there's like lots of people that deal with depression these days, right? Or anxiety. I think when you're a fighter for long enough of time, you don't just grab right away an over-the-counter pill to, you know, slow your process down and be okay with the day, or smoke weed all day and be okay with a situation you shouldn't be okay with. I think you look for like root problems and actually solve them, because like if I remember like all my fighting career, nothing has been ever easy. You know what I mean? And then anything in life that was hard was actually then easy. Because life is hard, fighting is hard, but I was like,
you've already done obstacles. You're
I've been on the
used
floor,
to.
I got back up, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
the mindset is like, this doesn't put me on the floor, whatever it is, girlfriend breaking up, heartbroken, I'm depressed, no one cares, the world keeps turning, you know what I mean? So the mindset of a fighter really helps to like do that. I'm still, because you said the mindset, right? I think every parent whose kids are at home, doesn't matter, overweight or not good coordinated or don't follow with a certain sport, like you did track and field, you said, who don't do like, I don't know, basketball or joining a soccer team or football or whatever, they should sign their kids and themselves, by the way, too, up to any sort of martial arts, combat sports, boxing, kickboxing club, even if it's fitness in the beginning, because the discipline, respect, even manners they teach is really, really good, important, and helps in life.
Yeah, no, and even just the little bit, you know, I feel like I've never had so much like contact sport in my life. So between you and Nathan doing jiu-jitsu and I'm watching him at his tournaments, I'm like, that is minutes going hard at each other, and you know, they're tapping out in submission and then they get up and they're just like, thank you. And I'm like,
wait, what happened?
why are you, and just even watching the UFC fights, I'm like, how are you still cool? And he's like, it's a respect thing. It's like, you've been training for this day, for this person, and you know the level of dedication because you've both put it in and you showed up, and you know the outcome's the outcome in it. And I think it's such a humbling thing to see because again, you don't know which way it's going to go. So I feel like this is the perfect time. So this podcast is called Mindful Moves.
Mindful moves.
And so if you can leave someone with one mindful move to like think of like mindset and leave them with something, what would be the tip or advice you'd give right now? I feel like you've already given so much, but what's one important thing you want someone to remember?
I start with the simplest. To fix any problem, work out. I mean, she's a great trainer. Most problems are, not every problem is solved with working out, but if I can give one little advice, I could give 100 right now because I've been advised my whole life. But the very first is work out. Get your ass up. Don't be lazy. Work out hard. Don't just go in the gym and waste the oxygen while just waiting there 3 hours. Work out, because once you get the physical in shape, the mind will follow slowly. And I think you get a lot of things in order with just putting your body on a schedule, a regiment where you train your body, because the mind will follow. So my very first tip to anyone, even if they train already, go on a schedule and work out. It's the very first tip for any mindset.
No, and of course I'm going to agree because I'm a trainer of mine.
Of course you agree. Don't let me hang.
I was like,
of course I agree.
I agree, and I love that too because, you know, and we're wrapping it up right now, but basically, you know, when I started sports, it was for the joy of it. But as you kind of get into this competition or you start to see changes and growth, it switches this thing in your mind for mindset, and there's that shift. And I think that's why they talk so much about athletes' mindset, fighters' mindset. I agree. Marco, you the boss.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.
Follow Mindful Moves.
Yeah.
Honestly, lovely podcast.
Thank you.
Honestly, thank you very much.
See you later.